walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show, where we come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern and talk about guns for about an hour. And we have some people joining us. We got Doug jumping in from Nevada. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for the invite.
Pink's jumping in from Ohio.
Yep, thanks for the invite.
Thanks for jumping in. And also, what are we calling Betty from Northern Nevada.
Yes, glad to be here. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, guys, for jumping in. We're running this live on YouTube because I'm lazy. So we'll be moving it over to GunTube, especially since I see so many people joining us on the YouTube side. So nobody's on the gun channel side, really. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's some people on the gun channel side, but so many people on the YouTube side chatting it up. I'm going to move it over to GunTube probably next week. So then we simulcast it over on gunchannels.com. Gunchannels.com is a community that's going on 5 years old. It started by a bunch of people who were using the shitty YouTube platform. It sucks. And people had seen that, you know, grassroots individuals making a change, make an effort, had affected change. It had gotten enough people up out of their couches and out to the voting booths that, actually not to the voting booths even, just to their computers to write some emails that it prevented any of the runaway, I don't know, horrible crap that could have happened after Obama's 23 executive actions. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I do appreciate people that are on the gun channel side. So anyway, we saw that there was some apathy. There was people that were more than willing to sit right the fuck back down on their couch right after the immediate battle was won, or at least they sat back down and didn't push it, and they sat back down, the gun owner sat back down on their couches and continued to watch YouTube videos like it was just a new version of television. And we created gun channels, and in part is a way to combat that and to encourage people who are creating content on their own, something interesting and something unique, and for a place for people who are interested in that kind of content to hang out. And yeah, we have to run this on YouTube now, or we don't have to. I've been running it on YouTube now because I'm lazy. So we'll probably move it over to guntube.org next week and broadcast over there. And then participate in the text chat over on Gun Channels, at least while it remains. I'm going to be looking for some feedback on that. We're paying quite a bit of money on for the text chat, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like a lot of people want to use it. So I'm cheap and I'm broke. So I'm not interested in paying over $100 a month for a chat thing that no one's even using and everybody, you know, says sucks. So we could turn it off, and we could just have it be a website that has the main news feed, and everybody can go hang out on YouTube and just, you know, post things on gun channels, I guess. Or we could, I don't know. I'm looking for comments and I'm looking for suggestions on that.
Or we could, you know, all take the extra step and give some love to the other platforms like GunTube, GunStreamer, BitChute, and some of the other stuff that's out there, so that way we can kill YouTube's throttle hold on us and get over on gun channels where we all belong.
YouTube only has a throttle hold on people that are on YouTube, so it's not like it's taken over the internet or anything. But what YouTube does have is the ability to do that live text chat, and it's pretty convenient because it works so easily. And that's one of the things we have on gun channels, but it's old and crickety and breaking, and it doesn't look like it's going to get fixed. I don't know, it must be going out of style or something, because I'm not having good luck finding a replacement or a better option for it. Most of the other options are closed down or even shittier. So like I say, I'll be real evaluating that, and except for well, GunTube, Night Strike's got some kind of chat stuff happening when you're in a hangout, but it doesn't do you much good when you're just sitting around BSing. So I think one idea might be to take the chats off the channels so that people don't get confused. Because right now, I guess people see the chat rooms on the channels as a flashback to or reminiscent of the original layouts. And there's not that many people around, I don't think, from the original layout. So I don't know why we keep putting the chats there anyway. Just leave the chat down in the bottom bar and see if people deal with it that way. And you know, use the chat in the bottom bar for exclusively.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Bottom bar chat works on any screen you're on, so I'm down with it.
Yeah.
But the bottom bar chat's one that actually scrolls continuously. You don't have to keep refreshing the page to.
Yeah, and that's just a factor of it being broke or whatever. But really, the concept of having channels was so that people could have their own individual place, a little area of gun channels. Once you take that away, and people are already, as we see, like hanging out on YouTube more than on gun channels anyway. When gun channels was first made, it was because YouTube's pretty shitty for their communication, at least what people were familiar with. And, people just don't know what we used to have, I guess. So what we've got now is adequate for everybody. But like not being able to share links and stuff, it was a pain in the ass for a long time. Trying to have any kind of conversation with somebody or explain something, you couldn't drop a link. That was pretty tough. So, having that feature over on gun channels was certainly handy. Yeah, all right, good. So thanks, Ozzy, for breaking up the topic here. There's no reason to harp on that. So Illinois, Ozzy just posted something over on the main page of gun channels. Speaking of gun channels. Boom. 58 states. So 58 out of 102. That's more than 50%. Are now sanctuary gun counties in Illinois.
That's very nice.
What do you mean by sanctuary gun counties?
Well, basically, Illinois is one of those states where a lot of people get yanked around by the people in Chicago, predominantly, and then I guess a little bit here in Springfield, and then whoever these idiots are down here. So they've been putting out all kinds of crazy gun laws, right? And these counties have said, we will not comply, we will not enforce, I guess is the right word. We will not enforce what we perceive as bad gun laws from the state. So if the state comes along and imposes some, infringement above and beyond the Second Amendment or whatever is existing, these states have said they're going to become sanctuary cities where they're going to instruct their officers not to enforce those laws. I think that's the way it sums it up.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm living now. This county here, they don't even recognize what the state says about gun laws.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this state is that this state has no gun laws pretty much. Though that's, so.
Well, for us here in Nevada, with a Democrat governor and everything, we're going to start in the influx of Californians into like northern Nevada and Las Vegas. We're going to start seeing a lot more crazy gun laws in Nevada.
Well, it just means we're going to have to fight them tooth and nail.
Yep. But it's kind of nice because this is an open carry state. But like in Reno, no one would dare like open carry, Here, because of the amount of ranchers and whatnot, everybody's open carrying. It's not a thing. It's like normal. It's like, why aren't you carrying?
Yep.
I think that's pretty much true in every big city. You get out in the country and it's not a thing anymore.
Right. They look at you like you're weird because you're not carry. You know, where is your gun?
Right.
You know, yeah. Which is kind of refreshing and nice, to tell you the honest truth. I don't have to worry about being politically correct.
Well, that's the beauty of living out in that part of the country, is
Yeah.
that people are willing to just let you be you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're looking for some topics tonight. Usually on Fridays we do tech or industry. So we're looking for comments coming in on the chat out there. Or if you guys have some ideas.
Well, I mean, did anybody else look at Kimber's Striker Fire model that's coming out? As far, I guess that would qualify as tech.
Just what Yankee showed us yesterday.
Okay.
Better than that other dumb one. Was it the Solo with that stupid safety on the back? So it's
yeah,
different looking. You know, he showed it next to a Solo and was saying that it was the same gun. So, not the biggest fan of Kimber. I don't hate them. They're right in the middle for me. So
I do think it's interesting to see a company that like them diversifying so much in the last couple of years, though. It's kind of nice to see.
Yeah. I think they saw that they were falling behind the curve with all the other companies putting out new things.
yeah, but would they have been better to double their efforts on making better 1911s and then own that, and then instead of trying to throw an all metal pocket gun?
Well, I'm hoping that them doing this, regardless of whether I like the gun or not, it shows that they're willing to innovate, and hopefully they'll bring that innovation full circle and put it into their 1911s. You know, I'd like to start seeing things like you know, the new optics and stuff starting to become more standard on higher end firearms, or just firearms in general.
Yeah, Yankee put out a video today with that 10 millimeter that Kimber is bringing out with the RMR.
Kind of an interesting topic for me is high tech versus low tech. So the versatility of a revolver, so that you can use things like snake shot and this and that, versus a semi-automatic. The low tech has a tendency to be much more versatile use for me. I don't know if that's something that people would have an opinion upon.
I've seen snake shot rounds for semi-autos.
Yeah, you could put a mag of snake shot, I guess. They're not going to cycle, probably, or maybe, depending on the gun, I guess. Are you saying that you're going to carry a revolver with normal defense rounds, and then when you see a snake, unload and reload with snake shot? Or you're going to leave snake shot in all the time and reload when you need it defensively?
No. If it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm just out walking the property, I carry just snake shot with me because that's what I'm going to run across, and it takes care of any other type of predator. You know, gets rid of them. As far as that, but if I was carrying like concealed carry or carrying in town or anything like that, then I would not use snake shot. I wouldn't use that. I would use real rounds in the revolver. It's not a matter of changing it in and out in one thing. It's a matter of which revolver I'm going outside with that day.
Okay. Yeah, I've never come into a situation where I've needed to like draw down hard on a snake. So I've never thought anything of putting in dropping my magazine and manually loading a snake shot round into like my Glock or anything. Never thought about it.
No, I mean, the topic for me was the versatility of a revolver and the different types of ammo available versus the versatility of a semi-automatic and the ammo relative to that. So it was a tech question. My use is irrelevant to the fact of talking about the versatility of revolvers versus semi-automatics. I don't know if that's a conversation we've had before that you guys might have had it and I wasn't around.
Well, I'm sure the conversations come around in multiple times.
It was just a tech suggestion. That's all.
Groovy. So, has anyone else seen the commercial for the new gun lock that they're trying to market? That's supposed to be the new, faster chamber lock. And I wish I had saved it. It's one of these gadgets they're trying to raise money for, where they're trying to. It has a dial on it. You don't have to pay attention because there's no numbers. It responds to clicks. And they've been trying to market it now and raise money for a couple of years. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't like their design, but I don't know if, do we need another variation of a gun lock?
When you say gun lock, do you mean like a box or like a trigger guard type?
Well, no, they're
flag that locks into the chamber, and that's how it makes the gun inoperable.
Yeah, that's what their design is.
I've seen something like that on Kickstarter. If it's the thing I'm thinking of, I don't know. It was on one of the crowdfunding platforms, and if it's the thing I'm thinking of, it seemed like a blatant attempt to exploit the situation right now, knowing that if they put something like that out on the market, and probably after seeing the other successful things that have come and gone like that on the market, that there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to jump on it for whatever reasons and fund it and not have much expectation of it changing anything or even coming to light. It seems like one of those feel good, like we'll harvest some money from people that want to do something, but don't really want to do much more than open their checkbook.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, somebody sent me the link and I watched it, and I don't see the need why we need to invent some high-tech chamber lock on the gun. I think what we have is, it just felt like kind of a weird direction for them to try to innovate.
Yeah, I don't think it seemed, at least the one I was looking at, didn't seem like it. Nothing about it seemed like it was from gun people. It was from people who have seen a gun before and understand how they operate and think they figured out a new thing. But I don't know. It's not something that fits to the mattress or in your bed stand. Definitely isn't going to fit in a holster. So, on paper, yeah, great. Put a chamber flag in there that's got some kind of fancy, way to get lock or whatever, so that you can only get into it certain ways or whatever. But what are you going to do with that thing once you've got it locked? Put it in the closet, put it in a drawer, like most people sit on the nightstand. You're going to need two hands for it. Like, it just doesn't seem thought out by somebody who was like, okay, this is what needs to be done, and how can you do something that doesn't get in the way of the job that needs to be done, but still makes it inoperable when it's just sitting.
Yeah, I also thought it was very strange that the selling point they tried to make was it can be unlocked with your phone. I don't want to. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's exactly what they were talking about. They were saying you can unlock your gun with your phone and everything. I don't want to have to go to my phone to unlock my gun.
Well, if the purpose is a gun lock is per se to keep it safe from children or something like that, children know how to work your phone faster than you'd believe.
Yeah. Most people, I think, we still use the little the chain locks when you're going to lock up your gun that kind of way, where you run it through the magazine well.
Right.
I think that's done a fine job. You don't hear a whole lot of cases of those failing for some strange reason. They're not the greatest locks in the world, but they do a fine job. I thought that this was kind of I agree with what G was saying. I thought it was sort of a ploy to try to get people to hype up to fund something that it's kind of a wasted development.
Feels good.
I mean, I'm much more interested in those portable gun boxes that go in your that you can put in your truck that have the GPS. I'm much more interested in those. So that way, if your car gets stolen, or they rip out, somehow manage to get the box out of your truck, they can attempt to track it. I think that's a better investment than one of these little lock mechanisms.
I just think that, I mean, the whole purpose of having your gun, in the safe is to where you can get to it and use it when you need it. This would be just too cumbersome to get out of the gun to, if you're in dire need of using it.
Yeah. I also thought in their little ad that they were they were putting the gun in a nightstand, like on top of the books and stuff. And it's like, who responsible gun people don't do that, And I don't think somebody who's that irresponsible, who's going to leave a loaded gun on top of their, on top of their nightstand where their kid can walk up to it, is going to waste time with a gun lock anyway. But anyhow, that's a useless piece of tech.
Well, it's worse than useless. So like you're saying, you brought up a lot of things there. If they had a loaded magazine in there, super dangerous to try to rack the thing back to full lock and then take out that thing, if that's even possible. I don't know if it's a cam in there. It must be some kind of a cam, right? That is holding it in there.
Yeah.
I guess they're not showing the underside of it to show us the actual mechanism, but whatever it is, a hammer and a second or two is going to knock it out of there, because there's nothing about holding it in by friction into a chamber that's not going to damage the gun, that's going to not be knocked out with a hammer, right? So anyway, whatever that thing is supposed to be able to do there, it looks like you need to disengage it and then rack the slide, then remove it, and then you have a loaded mag in there. So now there's a loaded round going in just after you got done taking the lock off with, I don't know, definitely not with a shooting grip, it doesn't look like, unless you're left-handed. So it just seems like an awkward thing to have to manipulate or whatever. All right, so that's one part of it that seems dumb. But if that thing is designed for leave and lay around, then again, it's not, it doesn't look like it's designed to come into action or to be staged anywhere because of the bulk of it, because of the weirdness of it. So is it designed to be in your safe? Like, that's the dumbest thing ever if you're going to put it into a safe, right?
Oh, yeah, they advertised it just leaving it on tables and stuff.
Yeah, so that just makes no sense. So I think really it's this whole like philosophy that we need to somehow apologize for guns because they're dangerous, and here's what we're doing to stifle them or to make them safer. Well, I think that the numbers, the facts, the history of data is what matters, and firearms related accidents have gone down all the time. They always go down. So if this was something that was going up, if there was more people being hurt accidentally or inadvertently through ignorance or through accident, I could almost understand this, like this attempted concern. But this is definitely answer to a question that we don't have, because there isn't more accidents. We don't need more safety. And I think this, just by creating shit like this, stuff like this, products like this as they exist, it gives the antis just more fuel. Like, oh, something like this exists, so why don't we make a law that requires it? This obviously this exists, so it must be safer to have that thing in there. I'd petition that nobody in there, no gun owner ever put any thought into this. This was just somebody who figured, I know how a gun works and I can make a product. And if somebody's going to take that and then start creating legislation from it, then it's dangerous. So I think it's more than just a bad product. I think it's a dangerous product that makes it seem like it's, if you weren't paying attention, like it's necessary, and that's the danger of it.
The way it looks, the part that goes into the bore is shaped like a bullet. So when you unlock it and pull this off, and you rack the slide, it'll be just like
Oh,
Yeah,
it brings the
racking a
like that.
Yeah, 'cause it's
So it's kind of like a charging handle.
well,
So-
it you rack the slide and then it pops this lock out.
So in theory, your ejector should pop that out.
Right.
Okay, then.
And
Yeah.
then a live round goes into the chamber.
Yeah, I still think it's dumb.
Yeah, because what if your ejector doesn't get over the lip of this forelock?
Oh, not only that, but that thing looks heavy to me. That just sounds like breaking an ejector, plus the concept itself. Like I said, I don't like any kind of thing where they advertise, where they just act like gun owners, like we're just leaving our guns out on the table around kids and stuff.
Yeah.
That, you know.
Now, I don't know, but do you guys clear your firearm before you put it in your nightstand?
In the nightstand?
You're talking about having a firearm next to your bed, okay?
Why would you empty that gun? No, it would
I
not.
didn't mean empty it, I meant chambered. That's what I meant by that.
Well, the gun that sits next to me at night when I'm asleep has a bullet ready to go at all times.
Right.
So that type of item would be absolutely, that's what I was trying to get at, is if a firearm is not usable, then it's really not a firearm.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle that you could have fun playing with, during the afternoon or something. But
Might as well have a baseball bat, you know?
I guess their idea is you put that thing in there, it acts like a dummy round. It looks like those little yellow things are little like bolts that come out, I guess, and it somehow attached to. I can't imagine what they'd attach to in there that would not hurt your gun. But anyhow, it acts as a dummy round / charging handle, so that, like you're saying, you click whatever combo needs to be done, or you call it on your phone, or you text it, and then when you pull that thing back, it drops the next round in. So I guess it's as fast as possible for something that's in the way of a round being in your gun.
Yeah, but if you're woken up in the middle of the night, you're going to remember the code to text your phone, your gun lock.
I get woke up in the middle of the night. I'm not messing with nothing. That's
Yeah,
Well,
I'm just saying.
I'm gonna
But
set
I'm-
mine. So if I use hashtag I'm being raped, then if I'm Instagramming getting raped, I can put that in there real quickly, and then the rapist won't know or something, and then boom, got my gun eventually.
like I said, I thought I don't like the product itself, but it just seemed like an interesting direction that of tech that they're trying to promote for guns. You know.
It looks like you dial it forward and backwards. Like dial it forward a couple, however many clicks, then dial it backwards however many clicks, and this thing recognizes, if you dial it forward 3 times, dial it backwards 2 times, dial it forward 4 times, it'll sit there and unlock and disengage.
But not so much like dial it to the number 3, but just go clockwise once, clockwise twice, counterclockwise once, clockwise twice, something like that.
Yeah.
You got to remember how many clicks.
Well, if you got to do clicks also, then that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, clicks is kind of I would think, a fine motor skill, and when you have that much adrenaline going, 3 becomes 5 pretty quickly.
And it looks like they've got GPS technology in the little chamber thing.
Oh, that's that alerts you. I remember that part from the commercial. That alerts you if somebody's moving your gun. It's a motion sensor.
Oh, okay.
It tells you if someone's picked up your gun. Which, again, if I have a gun that's not in my safe, it's usually on my hip. So I just don't see the point.
Well, I'm sure like these things are just going to be handed out in little fish bowls, like regular chamber indicators, uh, chamber flags. So, how much does this thing cost? Like $700?
Uh, find out.
Oh, it's only half as much as a cheap gun.
Heck, you could buy a used High Point for that.
So, yep.
So worse than useless.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the whole NSSF campaign called Child Safe, where they go around acting like, if you've got a gun, it's your responsibility to keep it locked up. Because, again, unless something's changed, we're living in a time when accidents, including accidents with children, are going down. And
I have a little different
education and lots of things.
I have a little different theory, being that I had 4 kids.
Okay.
Okay. And it was like when my kids were young, the first thing I did was taught them how to use the television, how to turn the volume up and down. When they got a little older, I showed them what a gun was and what it did to something. And then they got a little older, I showed them how to shoot. Okay. I think educating your children is probably the most important thing, more important than trying to ignore the existence. Then they get curious, and that's how you end up with accidents. And that's my point of view, which may not be popular, but it worked for me.
Well, I don't think anybody here is going to argue against education.
See,
Yeah, I mean,
when locked, charging the gun causes the cartridge to expand and to lock the slide.
So a screwdriver and a hammer will knock it out. Problem solved.
Just a hammer. There's no way that thing, what has it got? Metal? Like diamond tipped metal? Like stainless, super strong studs that are coming out and locking into the chamber? Or is it just little pieces of brass? Because they look yellow.
I think they're polymer.
If they're polymer, it's coming out with a hammer. And if it's brass, it's coming out with a hammer. And if it's metal, it's still coming out with a hammer. And the worst it'll do is trash your chamber and it'll still shoot.
Yep. So, yeah, worse than useless.
Well, like I say, mechanically useless. I think functionally not well thought out and that's unnecessary. And then culturally dangerous because it suggests that there's a need to, you put that much effort into something and marketing and development just creates a perception that that's a necessary thing. We've got chamber flags.
Yeah, but what I mean, my point is to it being even more than useless is that even if I were just to look at this from a locking up my gun standpoint, putting my guns up in storage, it does not provide me any more security than the traditional little chain lock that runs through the magazine.
Yeah, I had a question.
Because
those show that the gun is unloaded. You cannot have a loaded gun with a chain going through the magazine.
Exactly. I don't see this make being any more secure than that.
No, this looks like some kid could fiddle with the knob for a minute and it'll go beep or whatever to indicate that it opened, and then the kid will fiddle with it and it'll lock a live round into it, and it's completely bypassed any safety.
Yep.
That was my question. A gun owner should be responsible for securing his firearms. And if you think that a piece of technology is going to secure your firearm for you, that would make you lazy and making sure your firearm is secured.
I guess that's the point.
Yeah, like I said, I agree with what G was saying. This is a piece of technology that nobody asked for. I thought it was interesting that somebody even thought to make something so simple, so overly complicated, because we already have, like I said, we already have methods that do an equal, if not more efficient job that are not as technical or as expensive. And the way in which they marketed it by advertising like gun owners are just pulling our guns out of our holsters and leaving them on our coffee table while our kids are playing around it, I thought was kind of a slant towards gun owners in a hard way, which goes into the cultural aspect that G had been talking about.
All right, well, you gave me time to come up with 2 more things. It's got a battery, so what if you just leave it sit long enough that the battery dies? Then what do you do? And then it also implies, like you said, that gunners come home and take their loaded guns out and slop them on the coffee table while they start drinking beers and neglecting their kids, right? So now you're going to take your gun out of the holster. You're going to, I guess, take the mag out, and then you're going to rack the live round that's in it, probably kind of like in one of those ways that you rack it and kind of wiggle your gun so that the round goes up in the air and you catch it. Right, so because you're that kind of guy,
all Hollywood.
Yeah, and then you're going to take your $100-something chamber flag and put it in there, and then you're going to take that extra round, you're going to put it back in your mag, and then you're going to reinsert it. So you're going to do all that, not being dangerous, I guess. So even there's no scenario where you're going to come home and unload, and then put in this $100 chamber flag, and then reload the gun. And in what situation is that less dangerous than just coming home and leaving your gun alone?
Yeah. Or having one of those little gun things that built in looks like furniture or whatever, you know? It requires a little magnetic unlocking. You know, you put your gun away.
You're talking about tactical traps.
Right. You secure your firearm when you come home.
You seen the tactical traps on Instagrams? They're like exactly tactical walls stuff.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of the things.
Tactical traps now.
I think it'd be cheap, more economical if we just tactically trap our children when we get home instead of our firearm.
You drink less, that's for sure. You know. So Adam out in the chat on the gun channel side says he thinks it's more for staging. I would for more. Well, this is $119 we said.
Yeah.
So for $119, you can get some very nice tactical traps that you can put on your wall or elsewhere in the house for staging. That would be a lot more secure. And
I was just fucking around because they're ripping off tactical walls. We don't have to advertise either one of them. You could just say hidden gun furniture.
Oh, I didn't know Tactical Traps was a brand. I just thought that was the new name for tactical walls. I liked it.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the kind of rip-off company that's like got the exact same furniture as tactical walls, but they're called Tactical Traps, and they have like their sponsored ads on Instagram every once in a while.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
I'm thinking that most of the people listening to this show are the type that'll just poke around whatever furniture they already got, see where there's some open cavities, figure out how to make an access door, and done. You make your own furniture like that, right?
I am handy. I agree.
Or you just take a, saw, a little drywall saw, any kind of saw really will work in drywall, and go to, I'd go to like Habitat for Humanity. I was just digging around the Habitat for Humanity store, or they call it like Restore It here now. And, where they have like building materials that are donated, and then the ones that are unused, they sell for like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
It's like going to a Home Depot of stuff that was donated and never used. So anyway, there's like an aisle of vents and things, air vents and air conditioner returns and things. So these little corrugated metal little vents that nobody pays any attention to. Go buy one of those for literally $1 or $1 or something at your Restore or your Habitat for Humanity store. Grab any type of saw in the world and then cut a rectangle the size of the inside of that thing, shove it on your wall, and either put in, take some screw heads and hot glue them into the holes, or just screw it right in, depending on how long-term of storage you need. Now you just got yourself like the cheapest storage ever, and there's no burglars going to start opening up vents and see what's in there.
Yep.
That still goes back to the fact that you're securing your firearm, which is what you should be doing instead of putting.
You're hiding them. Now you're hiding them. I'm going to put a big sign on there that says you can take it. I guess that wouldn't be hiding it.
No, but I mean, I think that, again, I think all of those types of solutions we've talked about are far more effective than this. You know, and like I said, I think this is, as far as, like, I know we're supposed to be on a tech topic, but I think that this is the type of tech that we as the gun community should potentially be watching out for, because I think that there is that market for that cultural war, where this kind of stuff is going to start popping up more often.
Well, I'm sure the debate over the electronic guns.
Oh, that's coming back. You know it's coming back.
Yeah. I'm sure that'll surface back up.
So, like I said, that's why I thought this was a weird and not great thing, but interesting that this is what's coming up in our tech world.
Very interesting. For me, it's just good to know what I'm going to avoid.
Well, better to know what your opponent is going to try to insist that you buy.
Right.
All right, so we're still looking for comments or ideas from the text chat out there. Adam says peeps. So left to right. Only look at a couple people in here. Do you eat peeps? Dog.
No.
Pink.
Only the pink ones.
Ted?
I don't even know what peeps are.
Them little hoops of marshmallow with sugar sprinkles on the outside. They come like
Nope.
4 pack.
Don't eat it.
Interesting. I've eaten a peep before. I don't usually go out and buy them or nothing though.
Because of my disability, it's hard to exercise a lot, so I have to watch my blood sugar.
Oh, okay.
So it's candy, it's sugar. No.
All right, so if people don't know, we're a bunch of people that hang out on gun channels. Gunchannels.com is a community that we built a while back. We were chatting about it a little bit earlier in the rant. But Ted is, you were from California originally, and now you live in northern Nevada. You had some stuff happen, and now you're buying some property out there to live
I
on.
already bought it.
Well, I'm just kind of getting people up to speed. So if you want to be more specific than that, feel free, but there's no need to. But if you're, I don't remember, so I'm asking if you want to be specific about how many acres we're talking about here.
I have 200 acres on the Humboldt River. It was a 4th generation ranch, but the old man died about 17 years ago, and it got put into a trust. The kids wanted.
Can you guys hear Ted okay? Should he speak up a little bit?
I can hear him.
Anyway,
Okay.
The ranch kind of went to hell, so I'm rebuilding it, and my purpose in doing this is to try to be more self-sufficient. So I'm putting in wind generation. I'm going to run some cattle. I'm running some goats to get things, chopped down and back to grazing land. And to me, it's a thing as I hope to achieve a goal where I'm completely self-sufficient.
All right. So without getting too much into the prepping side of it, because this is the gun side of it, you're going to have 200 acres. You said it's sliced off of a bigger ranch. You just have land, though. You didn't get like a chunk of the ranch's facilities or buildings.
No, they sold off the house as a separate property.
So you basically have a remote 200 acres, and maybe you'll have neighbors eventually, but right now, nothing, correct?
Well, I have neighbors. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
One
how
of my
close are the neighbors?
One of my neighbors, right next door to my property. I'm basically 5 minutes into the center of town. And I have paved roads to my ranch.
Well, with 200 acres, you've got enough room to go shoot on it, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
All right. Well, so I guess in whatever the circumstances is, what I was going to eventually get at here is you've got some land and you're basically still, I believe you're still at the sketch phase. You don't have everything nailed down to what you're doing, blueprints. So what are you thinking about as far as ranges and shooting facilities? And
Okay, so
price is no object. We don't mind you spending everything you got on this range. So
okay, I other than the fact that I have coyotes, I have rabbits, I have everything in the world to shoot all I want. The county here put in a gun range, and they have a handgun range, they have a rifle range, they have a 100-yard range, a 300-yard range, they have a shotgun range with built-in skeet shooters. Okay, the range has tables with bean bags on them, and it's a covered shelter for shooting. And they have an archery range, and it's all free to use. Go there anytime you want. There's no monitor. There's nobody government. You can go to the middle of the night and go out shooting if you want. So for me, spending a lot of money on a range when I have plenty of wildlife and I have plenty of things to shoot as far as that's concerned, and having a range that's free to use, that's like, within 10 minutes of where I need to be, makes it so I don't see a good reason to spend a lot of money on having my own range. To me, the whole 200 acres is a range, and plenty of coyotes, which makes it fun to shoot something real.
That took a long time. So well, it took a while just to tell us that you're not even going to make a range. All right.
Well, I decided to tell you why.
That's fine. But then it ended up with you shooting dogs, so then it was super anticlimactic. So let's go to the rest of the panel, and let's build a range on Teddy's land anyway, in spite of Teddy and his crazy ideas about going to some public range. You have 200 acres. You got all of Teddy's money. Dog, what are you going to be making over there?
Oh, we're putting in a crow's nest for sniper practice. We're putting in at least 1,000-yard range, and we're definitely going to build a couple bunkers so we can have some shoot houses.
So you're talking like 360 berms, where you got like a snail-shaped berm where you can kind of crawl into it through like a kind of like a maze almost, and then you get in and you can shoot in all 360 degrees with berm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're saying you're coming through low. I can't ever tell if because I'm half deaf and I got fans running here and stuff, but they're saying you're low taste. When you talk, yell louder, I guess. Pink, you got Teddy's land, you got all his money, you're building ranges.
I don't know if I'd disturb the property too much with building too much. I would probably just stick up like 500 targets on a berm or something like that, and just use that.
Oh, we didn't ask. Teddy, do you got mountains in this land? Is there hills?
Okay. Right before the river on one side, there's a small, almost what you would call a berm. It's like a sand berm, and it's about 15 feet tall. So I already have sort of a built-in berm to shoot on, but most of it's flat rangeland.
Okay, so you will need some kind of a dirt pusher out there to make some berms, it sounds like.
Yeah. Right, except for the one that exists there that the river created.
So here's what I'm saying. I'm thinking you go out there with some sort of you're going to have to buy something, backhoe or something more even substantial than that. But I'm thinking go out there and dig a trench, a deep, deep, deep trench. Maybe I'd probably make it 3 lanes wide, and then either get 3, I don't know, maybe shipping containers. Maybe bury I don't know how many shipping containers, 3 or 4, and then bury them, and then scoot the dirt right back over the top of them. Do exactly what Pink said. Just put a whole button mess of steel out there on your land at different known distances, and then that way you got your indoor range or your underground range, because unless I'm wrong, it's going to get hot up there, right?
Yeah, we got all 4 seasons.
So that way you can shoot all the time. Even when it's cold out, you can go underneath there and shoot. Put up some
Yeah.
solar panels, run some LED lights in there, some sort of a cool pulley thingy, you know, so you don't have to walk back and forth for your targets. And, you know, some sort of a carpety thing or something to baffle some of that noise. And I'd go underground. And then up top, keep it kind of natural like pink sand.
That's kind of a nice idea, to tell you the truth.
You're welcome.
All about spending your money.
Oh, yeah. Cost, price, and object.
Well, you know, if you do everything at once and you try to do it instantaneously, then you could spend a lot of money. But if you do things one thing at a time, over time, you add a container, you add maybe 2, you put yourself in. Tractor's not an issue because a tractor is necessary for everything that I do. So, you know, building the trench and putting in the berm and whatnot is really, that's a 0 expense to me. You know, except for some diesel on the tractor, you know what I mean?
Well, if you're in this for the long haul, Teddy, let me, you know, after the show, I'll give you my information, and you can will the property to me, and I'll be sure to carry on all the stuff that you want done to the property.
I have 4 children.
Oh,
Are they
Pink will make sure that they don't get any of your inheritance.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but Pink is promising to make sure that your legacy lives on.
Exactly. But I'm just, I mean, good suggestions like that are always. I didn't think of putting an indoor range for my own personal use. And to keep out of the elements, being with disability and whatnot, that might be actually a really beneficial thing, you know, make it a complete, how do you put it? I hate using the term because, you know, nobody wants to be disabled and nobody wants to be handicapped. So I don't like to use the term, but putting in a complete handicap range,
I don't know what the floor of cargo containers are, but they're probably just that corrugated metal, like the bottom of a pickup. You could lay them down and then just skim some concrete. Probably cost a bunch though. Cheaper.
I've never seen it done with concrete. I've always seen them lined with plywood, but concrete would be efficient to fill up those gaps.
I don't know. It would probably cost a lot more than just putting some old plywood down. And you
money's no object, right?
True. Yeah, we talked about Eddie's money. So you could just, I don't know if you lay them on top though, they're not really, they're going to just be super hot. Just lay them on the ground, lay them on dirt. It's going to get super hot in there.
Well, you can put them underground. And,
yeah, I'd wonder.
You would end up with, I'm doing geothermal for my heating and cooling anyway, so running a geothermal duct to my from my greenhouses to my underground shooting range.
So how deep are you going for that?
Out here we're going boom, boom, boom. We're going 6 feet down.
Oh well, dude, if you're gonna dig a giant long trench, let's say 100 yards long, to how long is a cargo container? Let's go figure that out.
The cargo container I have now is 40 foot.
Oh, okay.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. So you're going to need 25 cargo containers to do 1,000. Probably don't want to do that, I guess. So you need 2.5 of them to do 100 yards. So if you did 5 of them, you'd have 200 yards. So if you did 3 or 4, you'd have plenty, right?
Yeah, you'd have especially because you would want it more as a handgun range, I'd imagine.
If you're going to go to all the trouble of digging a trench and burying cargo containers, I would think throw another one in there. What's it cost? If you never end up using it, it didn't cost you that much more to dig the hole. But if you ever want to go back later, it's a pain in the ass.
But you got to practice with your lever action that you'll be buying.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question.
Well, hold on. What I was going to say is if you're going to dig a trench for these multiple cargo containers, potentially, they're going to be deeper than 6 feet. So you're digging your trench for your heat transfer right then at the same time.
Correct.
And I don't know if you really want that to just be in dead, what, are you going to bury salt or something?
No, geothermal is piping, and you run coolant through the piping.
Right, but what do you lay the pipe in? It's in something, isn't it? Or is it just chip rock?
No, it's just in the ground. You want it to have as much contact with the earth as possible.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, I don't know, whatever they end up doing, you probably want it to be isolated, so you would just run a little bit wider trench than the containers. But anyway, you could be digging all that at the same time.
Oh, you put it underneath the containers. That's the better bet.
Oh, there you go. See, now you're thinking.
And now the containers are helping with the heat sink, the geothermal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just dig you only have to go maybe a foot or two underneath the containers on a small thing, and then put the containers down and then cover it over. You'd be pretty solid.
It seems like we got a plan, so let's go ahead and get this done.
Yeah.
I think Gay Jedi, we can get him to, haul the stuff for us. He is a trucker. He probably has his own rig and everything, right?
Really?
And there you go. Jedi will deliver the stuff. I volunteer to test the stuff. We're all good. We got all situations covered.
And, I could set up electrical for like a 6-pack. No? All right, whatever. So how's it going, everybody? Appreciate the invite, by the way, Gwebs.
Sure. Thanks for jumping in.
I'm sorry. This is Adam.
Yes, it is I.
Being that my memory's not who it is, have I met you before?
I don't think we've ever met before, man. How's it going? I've been on Matt's chat for, what are we going on? Probably like 2 months now.
Okay.
I don't add very much, but it's fun.
So I'll throw a little philosophy at you. Okay? So Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, okay? He said, if I give you $1 and you give me $1, we made an even exchange, but neither one of us gained. But if I give you a thought and you give me a thought, we made an even exchange and we both gained. So these type of chats is all about an even exchange of thoughts that make us all gain and make us richer as people.
This is true, yeah. I don't know if you saw my my question, I guess, to the panel in the gun channel side, but do y'all see any other need for any type of ammo, like any proprietary ammo, anything that needs to come out, or do we have pretty much what we need out there already?
So I kind of have to tackle this in two ways. Proprietary ammo, I have mixed feelings about all the time, but I never want there to not be advancements in ammo. I always want ammo to keep advancing because I feel like that's going to be the next evolution of the gun.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
So eventually, though, it's going to come to the point of diminishing returns, right? We can only make this thing either so small or so big.
Well, that's my some saying though, but because you're talking, if you mean in terms of the bullet aspect of it, okay, because ammo, I'm thinking of the whole package, and like I said, I never want that to stop evolving.
Well, yeah, because I mean, ammo could potentially now be like gas powered or some shit like that.
Well,
you know
I'm just
what
saying, I want to get to plasma rounds in my lifetime. Okay,
that's not gonna happen, though.
I could dream, but in terms of bullets, I kind of agree with you. I think that right now you're seeing a lot of copycatting or recycling of the old, and they're trying to market it as new. And most of what's been new, like the RIP ammo and stuff that came out a couple years ago, has really it's been more. That's where I think you're talking about, like the diminished returns. That there was no gain for that.
I don't know about that.
I'm sorry, what?
There's probably something. There's always something. There's always a silver lining somewhere. I mean, it got people enthusiastic about, I don't know, 380. I remember Yankee had a big boner for 380 because of that ammo, right? Because,
Yeah, like in the, apparently in the smaller calibers, it worked pretty well, but like in the bigger calibers, it was like bad, like real bad.
Well, I mean, I think right now, like the biggest advances you're seeing in terms of the bullet is that they're finally really investing in alternative materials besides lead. You know, now you have these companies making these solid copper ones, and you have these companies making the copper polymer blended bullets and stuff for different uses. So, you know, there is advancement still there. Now in regards to like the proprietary, like, do we need new calibers? I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I want to say we don't, but at the same time, I just got convinced that I need to buy an adaptation kit so my 1911 can shoot 22 TMC. So
just buy a rock oven.
I already own it.
Oh.
That's why I got to buy the conversion barrel.
I mean, yeah, I think the only advancement I saw that makes sense to me going forward is that smart bullet thing.
what?
Enlighten?
Oh, yeah, okay. So it's a bullet that fires from something. I don't know what gun it's firing from, but you give it a trajectory, and it'll follow that trajectory to its target.
A GPS bullet.
Like a missile?
You mean that scope where if you click on something, it'll follow it and then shoot when it's
It's called the Army's XM25 with smart bullets. I think it's pretty. Yeah, if you just Google smart bullets, let me just share that real quick.
All right, because I've heard of a ordnance where you can set the ordnance to, you know, how it's gonna, I guess, ignite or whatever the hell it would explode when it gets to where it's going.
Right now, it's only for military, but that's pretty much it right there.
XM25, huh?
Yep, and it's well, I mean, it's with smart bullets, and I don't.
Huh.
How come there's a picture of it on the one thing, but when you get to Wikipedia, there's no picture of it?
I don't know.
Because XM25 shows me a grenade launcher. That's why I'm. All right.
Well, here's that picture of what we're talking about right here.
Stop sharing. And then...
Wait a minute.
Yeah, see, that's the bullet. That's it right there. I don't know where it's coming from, but that's it.
This is the bullet from the movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Runaway?
Yeah.
Runaway. Yep, there's the gun too.
So this I don't think is legit, but let's try to see a better picture of it. For one thing, that's a heck of a lot of stuff to be shooting out, and this part of it is a projectile, but this part of it ain't. It's like an auto gyro.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it necked and then this whole thing comes out of the gun? Like that whole thing is coming out of the gun?
So the U.S. Military calls it a 50 caliber smart bullet. I know that much, and it's in production by DARPA.
Nope.
Or it's developed by DARPA.
I guess this is the biggest one I'll get.
I have to ask the question of what do you think its main purpose would be in a civilian application? Would you go hunting with such a thing that probably costs, you know, if it
I mean, I would. It'll so if it is tracking your target, all you need to do is shoot once. You don't have to worry about it hitting anything else. It'll always get food for you. You know what I mean? Now, it won't come to the civilian market for years and years and years. If it is, but
Okay, so let me take a second here, because what I have is called I'm probably going to mispronounce this, EXACTO, Exacto, which is the acronym made for the 50 cal sniper rifle bullet designed by DARPA. It is new for the 50 BMG. It is a coordinating system between the rifle and the optic using a modified version of the laser guidance system, method of patterning the target with laser for projectile fire detected. So really this is more, from what I'm reading, it says it's more about the targeting system than necessarily about the bullet.
I mean, but the targeting system also has to communicate with the bullet.
Well, according to what I'm reading here, the targeting system is a predicting system. It's taking, what we would normally call guidance, like how we guide the shot when you shoot your shotguns, and it's just doing that artificially for you. So it's leading the shot for them. It's not actually like directing the bullet while it's mid-flight.
Well, I don't know, because so they have the testing of it, right? And I'm seeing it right here. Oh, well, let me show you this. I don't know if I can. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
That's the actual bullet moving.
So I have more of a philosophical question about it. I notice a lot of people, they think that if they buy a new gun, that they're going to become a better shooter, okay? And they don't practice with the firearm they have.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had such a bullet, okay, is it going to take away from where people or some Yahoo thinks that the new ammunition is going to replace them actually practicing or actually becoming I think the expertise of shooting is, peaceful and solace and wonderful, I don't know that I would want the bullet to do all the work for me.
Oh, no, I mean, it's nice that this advancement's coming up. It's not going to be practical for us. You know what I mean? At least I don't think it is.
Well, I mean, it's technology that's definitely more susceptible to. I mean, the more technology you incorporate into fighting, there does come to a point where if the weapon itself cannot be manually used without the aid of the technology, did you really gain anything, or did you open yourself up to weakness? That being said, if they are making bullets that can essentially pull off the RoboCop thing, where the bullet flies through the air and he's able to direct it all around corners, the nerd in me thinks that's cool, but I don't know how I feel about it.
So basically, a bullet, a projectile, is something with some weight and some mass and some shape coming out of a barrel, usually expelled by expanding gases. So that thing's now flying through the air, and every once in a while we'll leave a cavity in the back of it, and we'll fill that with some sort of a chemical that ignites with the burning gases and leaves a streak through the air like a tracer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll do things inside the bullet like explosive gizmos and whatnot. So I don't think it would be that hard to put one hole on the side, the side of the bullet. So somewhere up front probably, and with a valve that would be tiny, but a valve. And then you could almost have anything, I would think, like even just, anything. You probably wouldn't even bother. You would just use the expanding gases to light some sort of something that creates some sort of pressure in there. And then with that valve and a little bit of pressure, if you were to influence the spin, because it's a bullet, then I guess we also forgot to say a bullet is pushed through the rifling, so it's going to be spinning like a football when it comes out of there. As it's going forward, it's also rotating, right? So if you were to have a computer that was fast enough and a valve that was reliable enough, it wouldn't even have to be all that fast. As long as the computer knew how fast the valve was, it could put influence. It could open that valve potentially, at the right time to create enough influence to move a bullet one way or the other in any of the 2 or 3 directions, 2 axis, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to make it spin in a circle, but it could certainly move it to the left or the right. But the problem is it would also have to have tracking capability. So even if you could make a projectile move left or right, what's the brain that tells it to move left or right? And how does it recognize what you shot at and have target recognition and all that? Even if it didn't need all that and it had to Bluetooth up to something, what is that in the rifle? We don't have a drone flying Overwatch that coordinates where our projectiles are going. So it sounds like something that would need so much support because there's just not enough physical room inside of that thing to hold all the computers to do the whatnot, just all the different things that would be necessary for targeting it. And then how much room would be left after all that for payload, like to actually make the thing effective as a projectile when it hits. Unless it was just going into flesh, and that's a heck of a lot of effort to hit flesh.
The mask just hurt my head. Thanks, Gwebs. Appreciate it.
Well, no, I mean, besides, like I said, to me, it's more like an ethical type thing. But as far as advances in ammo or in firearms, do you think it's like the Kiapa Rhino having a little different ability, so you didn't have so much muzzle rise or whatnot? Do you think that the advances in firearms and ammo would be more so that you minimize inertia, so you wouldn't have as much kickback or muzzle rise or anything going on when you're shooting? Do you think that would be the next advances?
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of the goal already. A huge marketing ploy for a lot of these gun companies, and they come out with their new design. What is it? The Hudson that has the super low bore axis. So they're trying to build the sniper, not sniper. They're trying to build the suppressor and everything into it.
They're not trying to put the suppressor into it, are they?
One of them was trying to build the suppressor into the gun.
Well, a Maxim has a suppressor built in.
There we go. The Maxim. That's what I was trying to think of.
But, what was your point, Teddy? You were saying is there still development?
Yeah, I'm saying that if, just like you're talking about the Maxim or whatnot, that if we're talking about tech and new developments, reducing the inertia in creating more inertia for the projectile going forward, but not as much inertia coming backwards, minimizing the kickback or the muzzle rise would be, I think, the next advancements in firearms.
Well, yeah, they already experimented with dumbing down the projectile to the point where it's basically ineffective with the 9mm. And yeah, now they're going to have to figure out actual energy downrange without hurting the fragile shooters that are weakening themselves to 9mm now.
So
I think that what is it? Well, I mean, I guess we're talking rifle or pistol. I guess it matters, but it seems like every couple of months now there's a brand new, more quiet, more deadly, more surgically precise caliber, right? 2.2 something this or 3 something that, and that it fits in an AR platform miraculously. So I mean, I'm fucking around, but aren't they getting, using the platform, which is pretty much handy. Everybody likes it. Now, as long as something fits in that mag well, they can, sky's the limit, and they're going nuts with the math and the machining, and they're making calibers that do everything, right? They get really skinny and go for distance and flat trajectory, and then they go real fat and they go slow and they make them quiet as shit, right?
Yep.
And then some in the middle, I guess, with some of them.
So there's also something with this that I don't know if y'all seen that this targeting system yet, but for non-lethal rounds, the targeting system gets to your target, right? Like before you shoot, it picks up your target, does the trajectory, does how much force it needs to be to where it's not going to be lethal as soon as you shoot the bullet.
There can only be less than lethal. There's
Yeah. I don't. Okay, less than lethal. I apologize.
So basically, the same thing I was saying, like some sort of a little computer chip that could tell its proximity, and then at the last minute shoot some of its energy from some kind of like incendiary or some kind of jetpack of energy to shoot forward, so that it slows it down and just knocks them in.
Yeah. So it's, and I don't think it uses gunpowder to shoot the bullet out, though.
Are you talking about? You're talking about the Riot Rifle, right? The one that basically adjusts air pressure for distance.
That one. There you go.
It's an air rifle that shoots rubber bullets that you're talking about.
Yeah, that thing's fucking awesome.
So
what now? What is it?
There's a rifle that they're trying to market to law enforcement basically they're using it for breaking up riots. It's designed to shoot those hard rubber rounds or those beanbag rounds. And it's supposed to calibrate the distance between the person shooting the weapon and the crowd and adjust the air pressure automatically to ensure that the rounds are less than lethal.
Oh, okay. So it has some sort of like laser rangefinder built in.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
I mean, couldn't that then transition to an actual bullet for like over penetration or stuff like that?
I see.
Hold on. How long do you think once that contraption? So it's going to be something like Giordoni, right, where the stock is the air tank and the front is the magazine somewhere, and it's just got to have a bunch of wads of rubber or little beanbags, like you're saying, right?
Yep.
Got that rangefinder. How long before the cops figure out they can range find some building like 6 blocks behind them? And then right at the last minute, drop it down, and then what? I don't know how to do it.
Almost immediately.
Well, what about a shotgun shell or a shotgun that loads the shell for you, and you can just turn a dial and say how much load you want?
That's called Judge Dredd.
Yeah,
that's Judge Dredd. And again, I hope I live long enough.
Double whammy.
We're also going to get wicked ass motorcycles when those guns are invented, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'm old enough to remember in computers when we had the little TI-99s was my first computer, okay? And the fact that a computer was an entire building in order to do processing of what we do now, okay? So I have hope that advances will be made faster than you think.
All right, so you ready for this? Or I don't know how you're old, so I don't know. If this starts to hurt, let us know, and we'll slow down. But we're going with the premise that nothing changes tech-wise. So I don't know why we insist on going with that premise, as if we always seem to go with the whole culture always seems to go with the premise that we're at the pinnacle. Like, oh, we figured it all out. Now we just have to figure out what to do with all this scientific splendor, and then 5 minutes later we figure out something that blows everybody's minds. So maybe let's talk about something like gravity, where at this point gravity seems like, if you're talking about playing with gravity, you're a magician or you're some sort of crazy man, right? Although I would assume somebody who thought you could be in however different, what are we in, Nevada, Ohio, and Arizona right here. And where are you at, Adam? California?
Texas.
Oh shit! Sorry about that. I apologize.
Yeah, thanks.
So it was the taco. I assumed California. But anyway, if we would have talked to some old cowpoke back in the 1800s about how we're magically talking to each other all the time at night, he'd say we're crazy, right? You can't just talk to each other from those distances and share photographs, and you're crazy. So what if they figure out something different with gravity? Like, oh, all you have to do is this, and then boom, we got hovercrafts, and we don't need what are they called? Rail guns. When you've got gravity, you got gravity guns. And that's where you get to what Ted's talking about, because then you just need a pebble and a BB and a, I don't know, something a little bit bigger, like a little, 30 caliber slug, or, one or two round slugs, I guess. And then once you can gravity hurl them, then you can tell that thing, like, knock this guy down or take him out.
Well, I mean, once we get to the point where we have gravity manipulation, literally the stars are the limit. So,
no.
Well, there was no parameter on this that we have to be fighting or we have to be using this gun on Earth.
no, I'm just saying. Once we get to the point where we have gravity manipulation technology, our technology will have advanced to the point where literally Earth will be the least of our worries.
Are we talking about Space Force?
No, we're way beyond that. We're talking about being able to manipulate gravity, like he's saying. So in that case, you have some, however it's whatever the size thing is that you manipulate gravity with, it'll eventually get smaller. You put that into some sort of a rifle. Even if we evolve past, we're Star Trek and we evolve past war, you're still going to want to develop a cool thing that can wing like a BB, way over there and knock something over accurately. We're still going to have that interest in that pursuit and that skill set. And then the mechanical innovation and stuff. So I mean, I don't think, like you're saying, it'll be the least of our worries. I still think somebody will be creating cool guns.
I mean, that's basically at the point where God, I hate to bring up a sci-fi. If anybody watched the last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where the girl had those metal orbs that she could manipulate that were floating around her.
Which girl?
I mean, she was the evil villain who was like the warrior chick who was there to fight everybody. But anyway,
the one from the team or whatever, the one that's been in it for a while.
No, this was the girl who was on the last season. She was like the evil villain henchman's sidekick. But
have you seen the superhero movie from Russia called The Guardians?
No.
Oh, that sounds like a rip-off of one of the dudes in that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been used in sci-fi a couple of times. That's just the most notable one that came to my head. But yeah, I mean, once we get to the point where we have gravity manipulation, we're going to be on a whole nother level of weaponry where we can manipulate something, be it the size of a BB or the size of a marble or whatever it might be. And we'll have that ability to, you're talking about levitation capabilities and the ability to throw things in all kinds of weird ways.
I will tell you this, we're making great advances in that area right now, and the problem is that it is working against some of the paradigms of basic physics. So, but we're starting to have a new understanding of what gravity is. So we're making great advances in that. In my lifetime, I think.
No, we already seen what a graviton is or some shit, right? They measured it or something.
Correct.
So we're just like minutes away.
They did.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's all great, and that's way above my education level. As long as nobody tells me the Earth is flat, I am game. I'm on board.
It's a donut.
Hey,
Oh, I've never heard of that theory before. So it's not said that it's flat because that's ridiculous, but you can walk around it. It's just that there's a donut shape. And that's what the Aurora Borealis is when everybody's like, oh, look, the northern lights. Like, no, you're just looking at the other side of that fucking donut.
isn't that the black hole theory? That there's a black hole in the center of the Earth?
Yeah, it kind of coincides with that.
Yeah.
This is a whole new donut theory I've never even heard. Is this a thing? Or did Pink just make a donut theory?
No. I'll give you a link here in a sec.
Where's Dead Horse?
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's a freaking thing.
I've seen some of the YouTube videos. It's a thing.
Oh, the Flat Earth Society is a thing too.
Yeah, I know. And anytime anyone opens their mouth and wants to talk to me about it, I look at them and go, "We can't have this conversation."
All right. So here's the deal. Earth is a giant donut. You take that giant donut and you slice it in half. So you've got a half a donut. Now you're standing on the skin of the donut, right? The surface of Earth. And you shoot a gun. It's going to go along until it reaches towards the center of the donut. And then it's going to get into that weird gravity vortex where, Earth, the donut, is, applying equal gravitation from all directions. And it's going to have some momentum, but then it's going to be likely to just keep going up and around the other side of the donut. And then it's going to come around and follow the perimeter of the donut. It's going to get back to that center again, and then can go through it and come around, and then it'll come right past you and go on its same path. And that, if you look at it from a cross section, is basically an infinity sign. So then that bullet would travel forever in that path.
Except that we have atmospheric.
It's called density. It's just density.
Give him this, all right? He wants this to happen. Just let him have it.
Yeah. So here's the donut.
It is kind of what it looks like. What they do is they take pictures of an angle that it looks kind of round, but you're just looking at the edge of the donut.
Yep.
Exactly.
No, so scientists actually are saying that it could have been the shape of a donut as well.
And
Then it made the moon.
We never went to the moon, and there's no satellites that actually have pictures of the Earth.
If we live on a donut, then we are officially a figment of Homer Simpson's dreams.
That'd be awesome. So,
does the moon travel like through the whole of the donut, or like around the perimeter of the outside of the donut?
I'm not sure.
I mean, it would kind of have to be both, right? Because the North Poles. Where's the poles on this donut?
What if the moon does like a figure 8 through the donut?
That's what I was saying. If the moon does a figure 8 through the donut and you lay that down on its side, that figure 8 is the infinity sign, and the moon will never stop spinning through the donut.
Yeah.
So is the donut actually spinning as well, or is it the donut like turning on itself in a donut?
It's rolling like a wheel, but it's not like rolling like
a quarter, like you would flick a quarter. It's not doing the quarter thing.
Oh no, it has to be doing that too, right? It's running like a tire in a circle.
So it's spinning like a gyroscope.
And it's also flipping all around like one of them things that you stick your hands and your feet into, and it shakes you all directions and makes it throw up.
So if the moon is a donut, then if
No,
the Earth is a donut,
the moon can't be a donut.
The moon is like a giant cup of coffee floating around out there.
I thought-
if the Earth is a donut, then the moon actually doesn't exist as a physical body. It's just a light refraction from the concave nature of the donut.
I thought you were going to say it was a donut hole, and I was going to be happy.
Oh.
But it's so cheap.
My head hurts. I can't believe they actually said that.
That's why you can get like 6 moons for the price
Over
of
24 hours, the donut performs one complete rotate. What kind of rotation? We live in a 3-dimensional space.
No. You only think you live in a 3-dimensional space.
It spins like a wheel. So it's going in 12 hours. It's doing half of rotation. So
Isn't that the new theory in physics that we have 27 dimensions?
Well, no, yeah, we have an infinite amount of dimensions. We can only measure 4. We can measure X, Y, Z, and time.
And like Sean was saying today, this isn't the polar ice caps. This is actually glaze. It's a glazed donut.
It's a glazing of a donut, of course.
nice.
Yeah. But who
Makes
puts
total sense.
So now then we get to the point to who put the glaze there.
Oh, aliens.
Saying, are we sure it's not a Bismarck or a Long John?
Boy.
Well, my question is, who's the jerk that came and licked all the glaze off the rest of the donut?
Yeah.
Aliens.
So it really though, if you ever look at when they do like I guess from radar or some sort of seismic something, they do the 3-dimensional images of the Earth without the oceans on it. Like if the water was all gone. You ever seen those pictures?
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
It looks almost like a head or some shit, like a coconut. It looks different than we're used to seeing it. All right, well, that's enough farting around with that. So we're not getting paid by the hour here. I think we've gone over our allotted time by a bit, and we've been BSing, and it's Friday. So I was also hoping some of the people from Tulsa jumped in. So we see that they didn't. So it's either too late for them or they're partying. The two.
They're partying.
So we'll see if they're going to be available tomorrow to share some of the show, and maybe when they're sitting around taking breaks and stuff, they'll have some live stuff happening over at the Gun Channel's table at the show. Otherwise, Travis does Caliber Corner on every Saturday morning. Long time now. He's been doing that. It's kind of a mix between a prepared show. I think he prepares some things for it, and then a panel discussion. Then there's usually some sort of a live thing, a lobby, where we'll have some sort of show in the morning or in the afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. And then Rick, newly relocated to Indiana. Those Rick's Life as I See It. Another pretty fun show to listen to on Saturday afternoon. And then on Sunday evening, we start to see some of the regular shows that 3 or 4 of those, depending on if people's lives interfere with their schedules. Sometimes they'll push them to Sunday. But, and I know, well, at least Snob is at Wanamaker, so I'm not sure if they'll be doing their shows on schedule or not. But hang on Gun Channels and see what's happening. And if there's nothing happening that you're interested in, start doing something. And you'll be surprised how many people will show up and join in. And you guys have anything you want to plug or chat about before we head out?
If you want to talk about dogs and guns, you're always more than welcome to reach out to me at muscledogmafia.com. And if you're looking for to get anybody a book to help them with their new dog journey, because puppy season's right around the corner, my book is for sale, also at muscledogmafia.com.
What's the name of your book?
Pound for Pound, Building Healthy Athletic Dogs.
Cool. And that's on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, or you can go straight to my website at muscledogmafia.com and buy it there.
I have to do things on Kindle so I can enlarge the print. That's why I asked the question.
Still click on it from my website.
Oh, cool. All right. I'm all about promoting. I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead.
Nope, that was all I had.
All right. Otherwise, I was going to do this. Duh. I don't do this. I should have done this at the beginning of the show when there was like more people watching. But we do have a bunch of stuff over on the Gear website store. Gear website store is our store. It's one of the ways that one of our major ways that we keep our projects online. And we know that a lot of people don't just like to throw money at projects like PBS or something like that. They consider that a handout. And this is an effort to create products that are interesting or hopefully valuable or at least entertaining to give you some exchange if you're interested in helping to support the projects financially. So we've did the what do they call it? The Patch Batch 2018, and that was a pretty, for us at least, it was a pretty ambitious move to do 10 different designs all at once. And worked out pretty well, luckily. It's always risky having a bunch of vendors and stuff involved, but kind of got a weird sideways picture here. But did a bacon pancakes patch, got the Gun Show Loophole Tour ticket in PVC, and a van. That van lines up with the old van patch so that they kind of either point at each other or they kind of frame something. They're kind of pointed in different orientations. We've got the new spam can, which is the Chinese 7.62 by 39, a more military style can. Then we did the FU Media patch, which will never be available for sale. We did the Chairs Against the Wall. Part of the beginning of this show is the what is that? I guess the Radio Free America thing from Red Dawn, and one of the things they say in there is the chairs against the wall, and it's been kind of it's a saying that people have taken on to kind of give each other a nod if they understand what they're talking about. People who are aware of the potential need for the resistance, right? Or whatever it means to you. So anyway, there's the Chair Against the Wall. That's going to be a series. I think it's a cool thing. It's been around since the olden days. And I'm going to do a series of different chairs. This is the first one. We got the Wolverines patch. Wolverine holding the Wolverines, holding an AK like the movie. And again, I won't sell that one. That'll only be available as an extra or a perk here and there. Did I mention the Bacon Pancakes patch?
It doesn't have eggs.
No, there's no eggs. It's just bacon pancakes. So the story there is Pawnery. It's a whole big gun channel thing. Pawnery started posting links to this little cartoon dog singing about bacon pancakes. And it's one of these songs that gets in your head. And it's one of these songs that, since it gets in your head, a bunch of people on the internet have put together like 10-hour compilations of that song. They've had it through 16 different languages singing it, just all kinds of fun with it. And we would play that on this show quite a bit. And then Open Face Hot Dog Sandwich likes to make pancakes, I guess. So he's always talking about them. And we were in a chat, and I was working on some art, and he ended up sending me a photograph of some real bacon pancakes that he made. I ended up making that into some artwork, and then we made a prototype patch on the sewing machines here in Tucson, and then eventually now in the patch turned it into a PVC patch. So that one's kind of cool.
That is nice.
Then the last one is that big, well, I guess not the last one. The next ones are those 5 gun channels, Ranger Eyes. Ranger Eyes come from the back of a military helmet. You have 2 little usually IR or sometimes reflective designators, like friendly fire type of thing. If you see these little 2 eyes hovering, it's one of the back of your guy's heads and not enemy or something. So Ranger Eyes are what people call those little tabs, and that's come to mean any little small 1-inch by 1-inch patch anymore. So we made gun channels Ranger Eyes, and we did them in 5 colors because it's our 5th anniversary, and black and pink and blue and orange and green. The orange and the green are black G's, but the black background, the pink background, and the blue background all have white G's, but those are also glow-in-the-dark G's. So that's going out as a set, and that's the 5th anniversary. I think it's the 6th version of the gun channels patches that we've done, and I won't do that again. It's super expensive to do a series of colors like that, and a little bit more for glow in the dark, and it was just a pain in the ass. So just going to sell those as sets of 5 probably, and when they're gone, and we'll do another normal size or bigger size in the future. And then lastly is that big giant lever action rifle. So that's a 10-inch patch, huge, really like it. It's the biggest thing we could possibly fit into our envelopes and not have to pay more than $4 in shipping. So they're pretty cool. I think they came out really well, and they should be pretty decent scale with the revolvers that we've already done. So that's the patch batch, and a bunch of those are available. Some of them you'll never be able to buy, but a bunch of them are available up on the store, and all the inventories are up to date over there. So anybody that's interested in, again, getting a little something cool, buying something as a gift maybe, or just supporting what we're doing here and taking that patch and throwing it away when you get it. We don't care what you do with it, but we do appreciate the people that purchase stuff over there.
Hey, Webb, do you want to pass that link post that link in the chat real quick for him?
Probably should, huh? Thanks.
And what is the lever action patch? What size is that?
It's about 10 inches. Well, it is 10 inches long, and then it's about 2 inches tall.
No kidding, that's a cool patch.
Yeah, it's pretty big. I didn't want to go half stepping. I wanted it to be in scale with our already existing revolvers that were 4 inches by almost 2 inches. So it is Free Patch Friday. I think I started off with all that. So every Friday, anything you buy at the store is going to come with a free patch. So even if you went there and bought a bubble gum or a gumball, I guess, even though we don't sell them, but whatever you'd buy, we'd send you a free patch. And on Fridays, and every time you spend $25, no matter what day it is, you get a free patch also. So anybody that's spending money on a Friday is getting all kinds of free stuff out of the inventory. And like I said, we've got lots of cool stuff now. So hopefully it's a little bit of something for everybody or something that you can gift to someone. And this is one of the cool things we can do with a whole shit ton of them. A bunch of rifles and a bunch of revolvers.
It's pretty nice.
And the new decks of cards should be here soon. I just paid for shipping on those. So hopefully they went in the mail today. I don't know about that. I paid for it today. So we'll see. But anyway, hopefully before too long, we'll see the new decks of cards, the firearms inventors as well. All right, that's enough of the commercial. So again, we try to do that so that we're not influenced by either some manufacturer or, I don't know, anybody really. So we appreciate the people that do allow us to do this in a sloppy way and in a way that lets us kind of be nimble and play with stuff and figure out new ways to work the internet to the advantage of the Second Amendment in our communities. Well, I guess we're going to do this. I don't know. Does anybody happen to have a quote? Throw a quote out there. We used to do a quote at the end of the shows.
Thought.
Yeah. So that was Teddy being rude earlier.
Yep.
What do you mean?
It's an internet joke. We'll explain it.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying something different when you were saying something earlier.
Oh, what kind of quote do you want?
Firearms related quote, if you got one off the top of your head.
I don't have a firearm related one. I'm more in philosophy.
Speak softly and carry a big stick.
So yesterday I was over there on the YouTube site saying ready for the next Kalashnikov ID card series. That's actually interesting. It's getting as I'm going into my fourth decks cards now, it's definitely easier to create them. I just need the time to do it. So I've been definitely rolling around what to do with the AK type of thing again. There's a couple of different ways to go with it. I'd say head over to Patreon or head over to gun channels. But the problem, again, one of the reasons I bitch about YouTube, besides the fact that YouTube hates guns, which means that they hate our community and our culture, they hate what we think is important, for our country. That means they hate us. So that's one of the reasons I don't like YouTube. But also when we chat like this in the side chat, it's great for the conversation. And I guess you could say it's on the video, but I at least do too many of these live chats. I do not retain everything that's said in the scroll of a text chat. So something, of that kind of idea, I would say send it over, an email or contact us over on Patreon or something. But I would like to get a discussion going on that. And to that end, I guess what that reminded me of is I was thinking about doing, or at least, I guess I was thinking about it, and then I posted a poll on whether or not people would be interested, and it sounds like people might be doing a video, whatever you call it, Q&A, I guess, for Patreon people or on Patreon, so that the Patreon people can ask questions or what. I'm probably going to do that tomorrow, and going to do it already to see what get on a schedule of it. But if anybody's interested, that'll be probably sometime during the day tomorrow, especially if nobody's doing anything over in Tulsa. If somebody's doing something in Tulsa, I'm going to try to cork them.
So I got a quote for you, G. This is, I don't know who originally said this. This was a prayer that was taught to me when I started my line of work. And it was told to me as the prayer of the gun and knife fighter. May my hands be fast and my aim be true, and may I see the smiles tomorrow.
Excellent.
There's nobody setting anything up over on Gun Channel, so if anybody'd like to run an after chat, some kind of an open lobby so people could chat, that'd be great. And Otherwise, gun channels will just wither away and die. You're just
Well,
not.
where's God?
The people that have abandoned us. Let me get.
Yeah. Trying to think of his name, who usually runs the evening chat.
Knives. He has
Well,
a lot of
Knives usually is done time, and then
Pink. Remember that era?
Yeah.
How about? Are you talking about Taters? Are you talking about Dead Horse? Are you talking about
Taters.
Dead Horse
Taters.
and Knives has a hangout going on right now.
So I'm kidding around, but yeah, we do have a pretty good group of people over there. Knives does have one going, but like I say, Taters has them going all the time. Dead Horse jumps in and has them going like all during the day. Seen Angelina jump in there and run one when Taters is at work or just not able. And Hans used to run them for a long time. Pink needs to get credit more often for starting that whole concept of running a lobby and leaving it going. Literally, gun channels wouldn't even be here today. After about year 2.5, it was getting to be bleak, and it was a bunch of garbage happening, and nobody was really digging it. And you could just tell a bunch of people were showing up, either out of obligation or out of curiosity, but nobody was really having a good time. And Pink changed that, having an open lobby and basically turning on a computer as place, leaving a lobby open, trusting the community, and going to work. And we went for years like that, literally for years, without anybody screwing with this thing or getting copyright strikes or anything. Well, maybe here and there occasionally, but not to any kind of abusive thing, if I remember right. And I really appreciate that, man, because we wouldn't even have gun channels if it wasn't for that effort.
I remember that's when I first, 3 years ago, joined.
Was it because of that, or in spite of that, or that you just stumbled across that and had no?
Well, actually, Yankee was promoting it big time. I was watching Yankee.
Oh, you're one of his people. Ugh.
Hey, Gwebs. We're everybody's people here, okay?
And then I got into the gun channels and having the open chat that he used to do all the time. Used to be kind of, remember, I couldn't walk for a long time. So I was kind of bedridden. And that chat, I swear, was one of those things that like saved my life. So I appreciate the hell out of gun channels. I call it my therapy session.
Right on. Every once in a while, it stresses you, gets your blood pressure going. Every once in a while, you laugh a little bit. Hopefully, it all comes out.
Not only that, I've only found wonderful people on gun channels. I mean, really, really nice, genuinely good people to chat with and to actually have as a associate type,
Dude, yeah, I not as a living, but I'm definitely familiar with all the different numbers and the matrix side of the internet when you look at it from the underbelly. And, when you look at gun channels, we're talking, I think something like 8,000, almost 7,000 something, high 7,000s members altogether. 6,000 something of them are still members, like only 1,000 of them have left. Hundreds that use the place every day, dozens that are literally, this is their place to hang out, period. And then, 5 assholes throughout the whole history of the thing? Maybe.
Thanks, Gwebs. I appreciate you calling me an asshole.
And I'm counting that one guy who was like 50 PM or 50 AE to the face, and then there was something before that. Even I'm counting what's his face from Florida, with the Mosin, right? So I'm stretching. I'm reaching people that are just kind of annoying to the fact where they got to be like annoying. But there's just, I think I agree with you, Teddy. There's been an excellent group of people, and that's not due to any site design or formula or recipe. It's 100% the community. So it's everybody making that happen. It's awesome.
I agree.
Which is what makes me optimistic that when people want to get pessimistic or discouraged, fuck that. We find people constantly who are cool, and we're just one little website with no advertising and not really trying hard to find people. So people can just come across it and find it. And a lot of people have come and gone, but if ever needed, if we ever had a early 2013 type of situation again, and we've had stuff with the elections and things, people know to come back, and they know the conversations that are happening over here and the value and the worth. And yeah, well, let's quick patting ourselves on the back, go over, hang out with Knives, have an open chat, and talk about farting and gym shoes, or whatever the fuck we're going to talk about. And thanks again, everybody, for joining in this week. We'll be back next week. Probably a little bit tighter format, as I get more time. Buy shit off of gearwebsites.com, and it'll be the tightest format show you've ever seen. I got ideas. The
guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.